very, very famous Maha mantra, which is Triambakam Yajamahe, which is not very well understood as a matter of fact, because most of the people will take the literal translation of Triambakam Yajamahe and then don't go deep enough, but we will go quite deep in understanding this mantra because of its beauty, grandeur, poetry, and various other Shastra Vicharas. So, in all probability, I may not be able to complete the commentary today, so be it. Triambakam Yajamahe. This is also known as the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Yajamahe means I worship. I worship the Supreme Lord, Triambakam. Triambakam. Triambakam is, literal translation is the three-eyed. So, according to Purana, Shiva is supposed to have 3 eyes. So, what are these 3? It is a set of several trees. The first set of 3 is, it is the 3 eyes. That is, the 3 eyes of Lord Shiva is Soma, Surya, Agni. So, Soma, Surya, Agni, Lochana, Shiva. Soma means the moon, Surya means the sun, Agni is the fire. But it is not as simple as that. Soma refers to the mind. So Rudra is Abhimani Devata for the mind. So if there is any Raudra act in our mind, it is because Shiva is there in the Raudra form. If your intellect is very active, his other eye, which is Surya Lochana, that is, he is in the intellectual level, and as Agni, he is also known as Jataveda. Jataveda means one who knows everything. So, in the course of our tapas, in the course of our meditation, contemplation, study of the Shastra, every bit of knowledge that you internalize, and every bit of knowledge you are able to process and you are able to recall, it's because of this third eye of Shiva, which is Jataveda or Agni. So this is the another set of 3. Triambaka, Amba also means the mother. So one who has got 3 wives. So who are those 3 wives? It is the Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Atmika Devi, one who actually manifests in the world as Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. Therefore, he is Triambaka. He is also Triambaka because he is pervading. So what does he pervade? He pervades 3 most important elements needed for the existence of the world. Needed for the accommodating the expanding beings, both sentient and insentient, in the world. That is why the world is called, the Jagat is called also Prapancha. Prapancha actually comes from that which is made perfected by the combination of the 5. Pancha, 5. Panchabhutas, made into a perfect combination, prapancha. One etymology. Another etymology is, it comes from the root pach vistare. It's a Pandinian sutra. That means to cook means to expand. Is that not your experience every day? You take a little bit of rice, and then when you cook that with water, it expands. So when it has to expand, there must be the Prithvi Tattva, which is a solid rice. Then there is the Jala Tattva, which is the water you use. Agni as Jataveda is already there, embedded in rice. That is, the uncooked rice, when subjected to heat and mixed with water, should become edible rice. Is that not coming out of knowledge? It is not. Don't think it is just mere chemistry. The mere chemistry you see outside is the expression of the intelligence within that bhuta. And therefore it is Jataveda. And when this rice expands, it must expand into space. Therefore, the third is Antariksha. So, Triambaka also means Prithvi, Jala and Antariksha. And these three, with the third eye, the Lord is looking at it and therefore it cooks. So, this is the expression of the Bhakta when he says Triambaka. How do we use this in ritual? In ritual, as soon as a person gets married, at that point of time, the Agni that you have been using before marriage is converted into what is known as Upasana Agni. That is an Agni which is used in Upasana. Upasana Agni means Upasana. Upasana. This Upasana Agni has to be kept burning throughout one's life. And therefore it is called as Ahita Agni. Ahita Agni means an Agni which is never doused. Is that not true? Even to this day, we may not be having the Agni in the sense of a ritualistic fire. But the energy in the house is always there. Electricity is always there. Your gas connection is always there. Isn't it? That means we are all using the Ahita Agni only, all the time the Agni is Ahita Agni. But this Agni is divided into two parts. The two parts are called Grihya Agni and then Shrauta Agni. So all of us are using the Grihya Agni. Grihya Agni is what we use for our cooking and light, heat. That is what we are using, Grihya Agni. But when you are doing the Yajna, you use Treta Agni. This Treta Agni is of three kinds. And those three kinds, which are Garhapatyagni, Ahavaniyagni and Dakshinagni, this is the Triambakam. That is why when you are worshipping Shiva, you not only use the word Adityatmaka Rudra, but you also use the word Agnyatmaka Rudra. So when you are using the word Agnyatmaka Rudra, that is Rudra in Agni, what do we mean? What we mean is that Rudra who is in Garhapatyagni, Ahavaniyagni and Dakshinagni, these three Agnis become Triambakam. So, what are these Agnis? How can we experience these Agnis when we are meditating on Triambakam Yajamahe? If you look at the Yajnashala, we used to do this in Kalamazoo in the earlier days, but now we have stopped that for several reasons. One of the main reasons is we cannot maintain the purity of the Yajna consistently. So, Garhapatyagni, it's not Grihyagni. Grihyagni is already dealt with as the one which gives you fire for cooking and lighting. That is the part. This is part of the Shrautagni. The Shrautagni has got three parts. Those three parts are called Tretagni. Treta means threefold. Threefold Agni. So Tretagni. This Tretagni, Garhapatyagni, is established in the west. Its shape is circular in form, and then you create the fire and you take the fire from there. So at home, how do we do the yajna? Why do we ask two married women to bring the fire to the altar and light the altar? What is the purpose? What she should do is they go to their Grihyagni and then from there take the fire and then come and install. That is why a very special place is given for the two married women to bring the Agni from the Grihyagni, which is always burning. So whenever you are using the fire for cooking at home, you remember many a time I have recommended, please say a Gayatri Mantra. Please say a Gayatri Mantra. So when you say a Gayatri Mantra, you are offering your Havis. That Havis need not be any physical material. Your prayer is the Havis. By offering prayers, you are maintaining the Garhapatyagni. And therefore that Garhapatyagni becomes worthy of using in the Naimittika and Nitya Karmas. What is Naimittika and Nitya Karmas? Naimitya Karma is special occasions. Namakarana, Vivaha, Upanayana. What is the Nitya Karma? Every day you have got to light the lamp in your puja room. How do you do that? You may use the fire starter, you may use a gas lighter, but still the original origin is what you have blessed by chanting the Gayatri Mantra. And therefore, in essence, the Grihini is maintaining the Garhapatyagni. And that Garhapatyagni is one of the eyes of Shiva. Then, the second one is called Ahavaniyagni. Ahavaniyagni is the square shaped. This is the reason why in every Homa and the regular Yajna, we always use a square shaped altar. Then we have the third one, which is called, this Ahavaniyagni is kept in the east. It is square. It is also called as Pradhana Homakunda. Then this is the second eye of Shiva. Then the third eye of Shiva is called Dakshinagni. This Dakshinagni is in the south. It is circular in shape. It is Pitrasthana. That is why that is why south is considered as not very auspicious for the host to sit facing. Because when he is sitting facing south, he should be doing the Dakshinagni, which is offering of the Swadha or offerings to the Pitrus, and therefore we say avoid the south, and that is the third eye of Shiva. So what does this mean? What is this Triyambakam? As Garhapatyagni, as Surya, the self-luminous, without whom creation cannot exist, is from where all fires are derived. The illumination of the moon is also because of the sun. And therefore the sun is the Garhapatyagni. The moon becomes the Ahavaniyagni. And then because you use it for Shanti Karya, then the Dakshinagni is his third eye. When opened, there is going to be destruction. In other words, Triyambaka is also Srishti Sthiti Laya Karya. Can you see how much of wisdom is embedded in one word, Triyambaka? Why should we investigate all these things? Because when the person says, Yajamahe, I am going to worship, with what conviction are you saying that I am going to worship? Triyambakam Yajamahe. Yajamahe means I worship, or let us worship. When you say let us worship Shiva, should we not have a conviction? Should we not have a conviction in the force of our worship? Should we not have a conviction in Shiva who is capable of this Triyambaka? Without that conviction, what happens? It becomes an empty ritual and an empty prayer. That is why we will never be able to overcome death. How can we overcome Mrityunjayatva? How can we get Mrityunjayatvam without this conviction? So they look at this word Triyambakam Yajamahe. So what are these three gatis we have got to? Then the next point is gatis. This three Agnis, the three Shaktis, the three eyes, Soma, Surya, Agni. Then the Prithvi, Apaha, Antariksha. All of these things, what do they cause? They cause movement. These three things provide locomotion for the jiva to go from one state to another state. So what are those three states that it moves? Either there is the horizontal Martyagati. Martyagati means, Martya means a being which is subject to death. So from death to death to death, that is Martyagati. That can happen. Or it can be Mrityugati. That means every time we take birth, we are racing towards death. Death means every single birth is losing so much of jnana we have acquired. You acquire some jnana in this janma. Then you take the next janma. In the next janma, because of the glitter of the world, the jnana acquired in the previous janma is lost. That becomes mrityugati. Otherwise, why should Raghuvamsha, which starts with the great Dilipa and Aja and everybody, end up in Asamanja? Asamanja was the last of the kings of the Raghu dynasty. When people asked him, we want to have the darshan and we want to ask you, tell you the problems that the country is going on, he would put his feet out into the window and say, tell all this to my feet. How can such a person be born in Raghuvamsha? Don't we ask this question? How can such a child be born in this family? How many times we ask? Why is that? It is because that jiva has taken mrityugati. And then, the third and the most desirable is called Swargagati. So therefore, there is the Swarga means Swa, within oneself, Ga Ramayate, one who completely reposes in their self. That is one who has got self-knowledge. When he has got self-knowledge, there is neither birth nor death. There is neither horizontal movement nor retrograde movement. That also the Triyambaka gives. And such a Triyambaka we will worship. Much more to study here. We will continue in the next.